All right, so we have a little bit of an update on the Ben Simmons situation. Granted, this news comes from Kendrick Perkins, so he's more of an analyst, less of a reporter, but supposedly he's saying that Ben Simmons is willing to hold out now for as long as it takes until he can get out of Philadelphia. So all the way through all their practices, all the way into the season potentially, he wants out. He does not want to be with the 76ers anymore. And he kind of conveyed that already by essentially dodging all of Joel Embiid's phone calls, not communicating properly with the organization, basically doing everything through his agent if he had to communicate with them at all. And we felt like we were reaching this point anyways because, like I said, I've been saying this all along. Doc Rivers spoke about how they had a plan to get Ben Simmons in the gym this offseason, how they're going to work him out and make sure he was going to be in better position to not have what happened to him against the Atlanta Hawks happen again. Subsequently, Ben decided not to compete in the Olympics, which made me think, okay, maybe there's a chance he's actually doing this. He's actually going to the gym. He's going to work with the 76ers to have this plan in place to get better and improve his game. Well, we know he's in the gym right now because there's a video of him shooting with Rajon Rondo out. But he's not working out with the 76ers. He's barely communicating with them all summer long. And it's at a point where the 76ers were supposedly trying to trade him before the draft. And then trying to trade him during the draft. And they were putting out these crazy trade scenarios where they were getting like 3 or 4 first-round picks, James Harden-esque amounts of draft capital in return, along with another valuable player in return for Ben Simmons. Now, that was never going to work. But you flew out there that you were trying to trade Ben Simmons multiple times with multiple different teams. He's been slandered throughout the city of Philadelphia because of what happened to him against the Atlanta Hawks. And granted, he was terrible against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks built their game plan around attacking Ben Simmons when he was on offense, which is usually not the case. Usually you build your game plan around attacking someone who's poor at defense. And instead they made their whole plan around isolating Philadelphia's better players by taking Ben Simmons and removing him and playing 4 on 5. Or 5 and 4 on the defensive end. So it seems that we're at a point where Ben Simmons and the 76ers just cannot coexist. And apparently he wants to go to Golden State. That was a previous report that came out. If you're the Warriors, I don't think there's any way you're touching Ben Simmons. You're not breaking up the core of veterans you already have in Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. That's not happening. And while I've already said that the Warriors need to focus on getting players who are good enough to help them win now, and Ben Simmons is certainly good enough to help them win now. He's one of the 3 best defensive players in the NBA, and a former All-NBA player, who recently turned 25. So ideally, in most situations, I would agree that a team like Golden State, who has a bunch of young players, should trade guys like James Wiseman or some of the guys they just picked up in this year's draft to go out and try to get Ben Simmons. Except in this case, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit at all what Golden State's trying to do. And also, if you're Golden State, do you really want someone like that in the locker room right now who's willing to hold out on his team, who's willing to shut down total communications with his team? Do you really want that player in your locker room? That's not saying that Ben Simmons is a bad guy. It's just saying that in terms of basketball right now, if you're Golden State and you have a set locker room that is able to sustain itself through having KD come on your team and having that shift in power and having KD to leave your team, if you have a locker room that's able to survive all of that, why would you bring someone like Ben Simmons in who has already dealt with this situation, these problems in Philadelphia? When in reality, as soon as he arrives in Golden State, the first thing they're probably going to get him to do is everything that Philadelphia wants him to do. Every team's going to be asking Ben Simmons to shoot threes. Every team's going to be asking Ben Simmons to change his game. And if Ben Simmons is just unwilling to do it, well, then no one's going to trade for him. It's that simple. He can sit out all he wants. No one's going to go out and actually buy into the fact that he's a superstar if he's unwilling to shoot threes in a game and unwilling to adjust how he plays basketball. It's just that simple. And if you're Philadelphia, what do? Do you play hardball with Ben Simmons? Do you say, all right, fine, sit out. We'll find you constantly. You'd say, you're going to play for this team, or you're not going to play at all. Is that what you try to do? Or do you actually go out there and try to trade him again? Because you're going to try to trade him now. His draft value will be his trade value will be significantly lower than it was at every point previously, because we now know that he plans to hold out. Takes away all leverage Philadelphia could have of trading him. The 76ers are not going to trade a guy like Ben Simmons for absolutely nothing. They're not going to trade him scraps. Chances are they're going to try to avoid trading him within the conference. So where do you go? There's just not a lot of options for both sides here Obviously, this relationship seems beyond repair at this point. We've seen two sides mend their issues in the past, like even most recently, even Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Now, granted, it didn't seem as gone between those two as it does between Ben Simmons and Philadelphia. But it's getting, it's a star and an organization who ended up fixing their relationship and then coming to an agreement and being able to get past the differences and work to move forward. That's what happened with Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. I don't know if that's possible with Ben Simmons and Philadelphia because Ben Simmons is not the basketball, Aaron Rodgers is the football. Aaron Rodgers was the league MVP. Aaron Rodgers leaving totally destroyed everything Green Bay was going to try to build. Ben Simmons leaving doesn't really destroy everything Philadelphia has. They already have a really good defender and good defensive wing in Matisse Thybulle. They have a young point guard in Tyrese Maxey. They have a great stud, superstar, leader of the franchise in Joel Embiid. And they have a tertiary scorer in Tobias Harris who can get 20 points per game if he wants to. So where do you go from here if Ben Simmons decides to hold out? I'm glad I don't have to answer that question. Because if I did, I would probably get fired, honestly. I probably would be fired because I would probably make a wrong decision. But we're at a point now where it seems like Ben Simmons wants out of Philadelphia. Philadelphia might want Ben Simmons out. So it just seems that these two sides are going to come to a messy breakup here. We'll see where Ben Simmons ends up playing next year. My guess would be probably not on a contending team right now. But that could always change. As I said, there's no really predicting what goes on here in this situation because of maybe the level of resentment that both sides have kind of developed for each other. I'm not saying that the 76ers front office necessarily resents Ben Simmons, but certainly there are a number of fans who do at this point. Certainly there are a number of members of the organization at some level that must have some issues with Ben Simmons, especially if he's not communicating properly with them or responding to any kind of phone calls or anything like that. So, we'll see. I guess that's all for today's video, guys. If you could, please subscribe to my channel. We've kind of got stuck a little bit around the 150 to 170 mark in terms of subscribers. I'm going to try to get over that hurdle and keep pushing forward. But anyways, you guys, please subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Twitter at Sam_Tates33. If you're going to leave a comment, it'd be much easier to do it on Twitter for me than it would be to do on YouTube. I don't check the YouTube stuff as much as I check Twitter. So, Sam_Tates33 on Twitter. There are not many Sam Tateses in the world, so you could probably find me pretty easily. For now, guys, have a good day. Talk to you all later.